In every culture that has ever feared the night, one bird has stood as a messenger between life and death: the raven. Black as midnight, eyes like polished obsidian, voice rough like broken stone, the raven is not merely a bird. It is a symbol, a prophecy, a shadow that has followed humanity for thousands of years. To see a raven on a battlefield was once considered a promise that death was near and the souls of the fallen would not rise alone. But this myth is not just myth. Science today tells us the raven is far stranger, far darker, and far more intelligent than we ever imagined. Across the frozen north, ravens have been seen gathering at carcasses not to feed but to stand in silence. Scientists call these events funerals. A raven, dead on the ground, and dozens of others surrounding it, watching. Sometimes they call, sometimes they remain quiet, but none will eat. These are not just animals, these are mourners. Philosopher Henry David Thoreau once wrote, "Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant?" The raven seems to have achieved exactly that. It sees not just food or threat, but loss. It pauses. It reflects. Modern studies show ravens recognize human faces. They remember those who wronged them for years. A raven harassed by a man in a mask will continue to dive at anyone wearing the same mask long after the first man has vanished. They teach this anger to their young. Memory here is not instinct. It is storytelling passed through generations. Ernest Hemingway wrote, "Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details of how he lived and how he died that distinguish one man from another." For ravens, the detail is not just death, but how it is witnessed, and they always witness. In Norse mythology, the god Odin did not rule alone. He sent two ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, to fly across the world each day and return with whispers. This myth, once dismissed as primitive, suddenly looks prophetic when science reveals just how deep raven intelligence goes. They do not only remember, they anticipate. In experiments, ravens save tools for later use, refusing food in the present to prepare for tomorrow. They plan for the future, something even great apes struggle to demonstrate. Friedrich Nietzsche warned, "If you stare into the abyss stares back at you." Ravens stare not into the abyss but into us, and what stares back is uncanny recognition. They do not see us as shadows, they see us as characters in their memory. They know who we are. On battlefields of the past, soldiers reported flocks arriving before the first swords were drawn. To them, the raven was not a scavenger but a prophet, drawn to the taste of destiny. Perhaps the raven simply knew where men gathered, death would follow. Or perhaps there was something else, a sense of patterns humans could not see, but ravens could. Confucius said, "The way of heaven is to be impartial." The raven embodies that impartiality. It comes not to bless or curse, but to witness, to remind us that survival is not only about the living, but about remembering the dead. Their wings are built for endurance. They ride thermals for hours, hardly flapping, scanning the land below. Their calls range from guttural croaks to melodic tones. Some mimic wolves, some mimic human voices. There are documented cases of ravens leading wolves to prey, then feeding alongside them. A pact of shadow and fang, predator and prophet, carving survival out of frozen wilderness. Nietzsche also wrote, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." The bond between raven and wolf is one of those threads, a silent alliance written in hunger and survival, repeated across centuries. In Siberia, shamans believed the raven carried messages to the spirit world. In the deserts of the American Southwest, the Hopi saw ravens as creators, shaping the land. In Celtic lands, they were Morrigan's birds, circling above warriors, choosing who would die. Myths scattered across continents, but always the same face: the raven, the prophet. And in today's cities, ravens still thrive. They watch us, perched on telephone wires, picking through our waste, learning our routines. They are not bound to wilderness. They are bound to survival itself, always a step ahead, always waiting. Hemingway said, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for. The raven does not fight, it waits, it endures, it tells the story after the fight is done. And here within this story, let me place something not from myth or biology, but from necessity. If this journey into the frozen hunt of wolves spoke to you, I ask you to help keep these stories alive. This channel is young, fragile, and needs its own pack. Every gesture of support is a pawprint beside mine, carrying us forward into the next wilderness. The link is in the description. Walk with us, and the shadows will keep rising. The raven waits on the fence post, in the graveyard, on the battlefield, in the city. Always the same shadow, always the same prophecy. We look to them as omens, but perhaps they are only mirrors. A raven sees not death, but the continuity of life through memory. To witness, to remember, to speak again. In the end, perhaps the raven's prophecy is not doom at all. Perhaps it is reminder that in every death there is story, and in every story there is survival.